Hi, class. Welcome to Physiology. My name is Miranda Mitchum, and I'm your instructor. So this is for section number 32813. And I'm really excited about being your instructor and looking forward to the semester before us. So in this introductory video, I wanted to go over just some basics. I wanted to review the course schedule, some of the information in the syllabus, and then navigate a little bit through the course Canvas site, which is going to be very important for us. So let me go ahead and share the first of all, I'll bring up the course Canvas site, and then we'll go back and look at some of the other things I was referring to. So let me bring that up. All right, so now you've got the site, and I have it set in what is called student view. So it looks how it should to you, as opposed to instructor view. So first of all, just some basics about how to navigate Canvas. I have it set so that you see the modules, the weekly modules on the home page here. But over on the right side, this is a to-do list for your class. So there is a requirement for an entrance quiz and then a discussion post. Those are both due on February 3rd. At 11:59, we'll talk about that. And then you've got a lab exercise, your first one, that is due this coming Monday. Now, if you're taking more than one course at Palomar College, your to-do list will include that, all the courses together. But here we're just looking at my one course in your view. So over on the left are the navigation buttons for the course. So announcements will be a really important one for you, grades, but much of the other information you'll access just by going through the modules. Now, here at the top, I have it set to display the most recent 3 announcements. So that's just a quick, easy way for you to reference that information. And each week you will be getting a weekly announcement on Friday that introduces the various assignments and requirements for the coming module, for that weekly module. So you'll get that. Hopefully you've got it set to where you've received that in your email, but you can also access it here by going to announcements, or if it's in the top 3, it'll display up here. So in our first module in important information, this is where some of the logistics are found for the class. So we have a link to the course syllabus and to the weekly schedule that we're going to review in a moment. This video is going to go right here so that it can be referenced. You've got instructions to the online textbook. So I'll go ahead and show you now since I'm navigating Canvas. But when you click here, it takes you to some pretty simple instructions for the online version of the textbook. This is not a requirement. You do not need to have this version of the textbook. As long as you have any form of the Silverthorne textbook, that's fine. But if you want the online version, the information that you need is right here. It asks for your instructor's course ID, and that's what you get. Now, I don't assign any assignments directly out of mastering. Anything that we use it for, I'm going to show you in a recording so you have access to it this way. So this is just for your preference. Okay, I'll talk a little bit more about the textbook when we get to that section in the syllabus. So the contact information for your instructor, me, is here. And of course, email's the best way. That doesn't mean that that's the only way I'm available. We can set up a time for a private Zoom session or even a phone call if we need to talk about something of a more private nature. And I encourage you to please do that. I'm definitely accessible. Please know that I'm accessible. Also in this section, we have the link for office hours. So these are on Thursdays from 2:30 to 3:30 p.m. So I've given you the meeting ID and the passcode, as well as the link that will take you there. Now, I actually used my Miracosta Zoom account for this. I teach at 4 different colleges. So it just gets to be a little messy when to use all these different accounts. So this should work for you, especially if you use the meeting ID and the passcode. So that will be the same all semester long. Even if I'm meeting with you privately, I'll say, hey, jump on the office hours link. And this is how you do it. But if for some reason this Zoom web link does not work, please let me know so I can take the steps necessary to fix it for you so that that's not a problem. So every week, they are from 2:30 to 3:30 p.m. on Zoom. Zoom does cut off after about 40 minutes if nobody attends. So if you know that you're going to be coming later in the hour, if you wouldn't mind, just send me an email, and that way I can make sure that I keep, doing something on Zoom to keep it active. Thank you. Now, also, if you're not available during student office hours, send me an email so that we may arrange an alternate date and time that suits your schedule. I can't promise to do it that alternate time every week, but I can certainly be available around your schedule when you need me. So please just reach out by email. There's a link to a very simple periodic table of elements here. We're going to get right into that in our week 2 material. So I recommend that you have it available and utilize it. Write on it, mark it up. Hint, 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 because when it comes to quiz and exam time, you'll be able to utilize that material. So that's what I would do. I encourage you to do it, and you can use whatever form of it you want. I mean, it's all the same information, but I've provided you just with a simple version of it. And we'll talk about that when we get to chapter 2. All right, now moving below, we've got our very first weekly module. So it tells you what week it is. This is week 1. We are in the exam 1 block. So that includes lecture and lab material. And then this comes from chapter 1 of your textbook. So this is basically introductory material. And then I've given you the links to the lecture slides. It's kind of a lot of information here, but you have the lecture slides in both PowerPoint and PDF form. And then there are also lecture objectives in both Word and PDF form. So those are really just 2 different files, but provided to you in 2 formats. So the lecture slides are what I go through in your videos, but you have them available so that you can utilize them however you want. The lecture objectives are actually intended more as a study tool after you have completed your other materials or as you're completing the workflow for that week. They're challenging. Please don't go into it thinking this is information I should know. It's not at all. These are the objectives of mastery after we complete this unit. And they're detailed. In many cases, there's actually examples and sometimes information in the lecture objectives that I do not cover in my lecture presentation to you in my lecture video. And that's simply because I don't have time to go over everything within a reasonable length of a video. I mean, you don't want a 3-hour lecture video. So the lecture objectives are a way to get you to focus on that additional content. But also, let me tell you something about them. Students that complete them are rewarded because, let me just jump off the share there. Students that complete those lecture objectives will find themselves rewarded because I do put a question from one of the lecture objectives on each of your exams. So not only do you have the potential to know the answer, but you also have the potential to have it already completely written or drawn up in a format that can go right into your exam, which will save you valuable time, as well as hopefully earn you those points. So, so that's just one way I try to really to reward you for the time and effort that goes into completing them, because they're intense. That's the purpose of them. It's to drive you to think about these things and learn about them prior to the examination. So you've got the various links to your slides and your introduction or your objectives that will be available in every week. You'll have one of these pages. And then we've got your lecture recordings. So I actually need to delete this off of here. I just realized I meant to have done that. Let me back you to where you'll find that. The reason why is because I've converted your videos, lecture videos and lab videos over to YouTube format, which makes it much easier. So, so I'll get those loaded up for you. But that's what you'll find in the link. So you'll have your lecture video link available in the weekly module, and it will be in YouTube format. And that way it doesn't run the risk of being deleted off of the Zoom server, because Zoom only saves stuff for about 6 months. All right, I'm going to provide you with a PDF of the first few chapters that we cover. That way, if you don't have your textbook yet, you at least have something to refer to. But then, of course, you've got the slides, which is what you really want to focus on. There is a link to your very first discussion board. This is an absolute requirement this week, as is this quiz below. We have 2 requirements to demonstrate active participation in this course, especially since it's in this online format. This is one of them. So this is how you show to me and to the college that you are participating and active in this physiology course and that you're committed to it. So this is a discussion board post, just introducing yourself. You know, feel free to share as much or as little as you want, whatever you're comfortable with. But it is due on Wednesday, February 3rd at 11:59 p.m. If you do not submit it along with the entrance quiz by this time frame, that tells me that you're not active in the class, and I have a spot available on my roster to give to a waitlist student. We've got tons of students that want to get into the class, and I want to have students that are going to be here and complete the class here, taking up these last spots. So in the very first discussion board, you're going to just provide me with some basics, you know, tell us a little bit about yourselves. So this is something that is available to the entire class, not just to me. And we will be utilizing discussion boards most weeks, and you'll earn some points for them. So please go ahead and provide this information. I thought I already put my response back up here, but I'll double check that. But you have my introduction as well to take a look at, as well as that of all of your classmates. So this is a fun way to get to know each other, especially in this online format. So that is due this Wednesday. Also due this Wednesday is completion of this entrance quiz. Now, this quiz is not included as part of your final grade, and you'll probably be grateful for that because it's a little challenging. Usually students get about a C on it, but it's not part of your grade. It's simply part of this active requirement. So what it does is it goes over the prerequisite information that students need to be successful in physiology. And that allows me to modify that content if necessary to best suit the class. So it is a valuable activity. So please do give it your best effort. But it's also due on Wednesday. Again, it is not part of your course grade. This is just an activity requirement that allows me to also better plan for your course. So thank you for that good effort. It goes over the prerequisite material that's in chapters, let's see, 1, 2, and really 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, let's go back to the week 1 module. And then below the last kind of block of the module is where you'll find your lab information. So this week we just have one single lab, and it's on mathematical conversions and calculations that are used commonly in physiology. So you've got a link to your lab exercise, and this week you have just one. Some weeks you have 2 different activities. It just depends on the week. But you've got the lab itself provided to you in Office, Microsoft Word, and in PDF format. So it's the same file. And you go through it, you complete your work, and then you upload it back to me. So I grade labs based on completion for the most part. And what that means is I'm looking to see that you've completed all the fields that require an answer. You don't need to get them all correct to earn the full points here, unless I give you specific instructions for part of an assignment. But I do need to see an answer. So if you leave an answer blank, that could lead to a point deduction on a lab activity. Now, you can, if it's easier for you to print your labs and write the answers and take a picture of it and upload that, that's perfectly fine. I'm pretty flexible in the format you give to me, as long as I can see that you've completed your work and that I can actually read it. Again, I don't have any restrictions on the format of how you submit your completed work to me. I just, for labs, I just need to see that you've done it. And then below that, below the lab exercise itself, are the instructional videos that are needed for lab. And many times there's actually data that you'll be collecting shown in these videos. These are all videos that have been produced and made by different faculty at Palomar College based on our own labs that are written by one of our faculty. So that's fantastic for you. It's very personalized. So please do get in the habit of checking and watching those videos. And when you do need to extract data out of it, I will be sure to let you know so that you can be sure to focus on that area. So that's really all I wanted to show you on Canvas. And those of you that have utilized Canvas already, most of this you'll probably, or much of it you'll already know. So now let's take a little bit of time, please, to go over the course syllabus. So I'm going to bring that file up. And so this is in important information on Canvas for you. Here we go. Whoops, sorry, I'm trying to make it as big as possible to maximize its view. Okay, here we go. So first of all, I like to, just from the very beginning, address diversity and inclusion, because this is a learning environment, and we all learn better when we're in a respected, supported environment. So that is an absolute expectation and requirement in this course, that we all behave in a manner that creates that positive learning environment, not only for yourself, but for all of your peers, everybody in the class. I want you to always feel comfortable here. If you do not feel comfortable for whatever reason, say someone has used bad language, please reach out and let me know so that I can do what's necessary to address that. You're also welcome to address our department chair if you feel that that this is concerning enough to go to that level, and you want to do it in an anonymous format. You can do that by emailing him. So I don't want to just really harp on that On the negative side of it, it's more that I want to recognize and show you that I'm committed to trying my best to facilitate that healthy, kind, respectful learning environment. All right. So email is the best way to reach me by far. If we need to have a private conversation, we can arrange that by email. So please do reach out by email. I check my email multiple times a day, and I'll get back to you as quick as I can. So this class is completely asynchronous. So that means that we have no arranged class meeting times. The only time that there is any arranged activity that has a time assigned to it is for office hours. But office hours are not required. They are encouraged if they are encouraged for a variety of reasons, but they're not required. So you will go onto Canvas, access the materials that I just showed you that are released every Friday in a weekly format, and then complete your various activities with the assistance of the videos and other supports, learning materials that I've provided to you. So that's what asynchronous means. There are no class meeting times. So you just go and access your different materials. So you've got your reading assignment in your textbook. You've got the lecture material, which is posted in the format of your slides, as well as in a video format. You've got your discussion boards, which are released on most weeks. There's a few that span 2 modules. You've got homework most weeks. You have at least 1 lab exercise most weeks, which you need to complete. And then you've also got your scheduled exams and quizzes. So all of that is loaded up onto the course Canvas site for you. You do it and submit it by the time, the due date that is provided to you. We will talk about the exam or window of that you're able to access exams and quizzes for in a moment. So here's that link information to office hours. So this is the same as what is provided on campus. And I will include this in your weekly announcements as well. And it's the same information every time. So you might just want to attend once and save that information. And then you have it already there, ready to go. So how do you succeed in class, especially in this online environment? Well, first of all, we've done it a little bit now, which is a benefit. The spring was a bit rough because we abruptly moved from our normal on-campus format to uncertainty, basically. We moved to the virtual teaching environment, but there was so much uncertainty in the spring. And as you know, in the fall, we were completely on using virtual methods of instruction, and that's what we're doing now. So that means I've done it a few times, which hopefully you'll benefit from me having a little bit more experience, as well as perhaps yourself having some experience. So resources to help you succeed. Office hours are definitely part of that. So please attend. If you have a conflict, say you work most Thursdays and you're not available, let me know so that we can try to find another suitable arrangement for you. I'm definitely available. Consider me one of your resources at all times. You can reach out to me by email at any time, but know that I'm here on student office hours on Thursdays where you can interact with me, and we could even go over homework and do problems together. The STEM Center is operational online. So this link takes you directly to the STEM Center, and they've got a number of resources. And they can also help and recommend tutoring options that are available to students as well. And then Canvas is huge. If you're not utilizing the course Canvas page, I'd say 3-4 times a week. Honestly, I don't know how a student could be successful in that environment. So I am hoping that you're checking it 3, 4, 5 times a week. So what are some of our policies? We've talked about how we spend our time together. We're in this asynchronous environment with no designated class times. The only time where there is scheduled contact, which is not a requirement at all, is office hours. So what about time commitment though? So if we add up the time commitment of lecture and lab, which at Palomar, we have lecture twice a week, and then we have lab twice a week, that would be really about 9 hours a week in the classroom. But in order to be successful, there's additional time that's necessary to do your homework, to complete your lab exercises, to do your discussion board posts, to study, to learn. So that's another 6 to 9 hours a week. So we're really looking at a time commitment of 12 to 18 hours a week to be successful in physiology. You have the freedom of fitting that time in whenever you want, since this is an asynchronous class. But I strongly suggest that you try to carve out dedicated time each week, the same days, same blocks of time. Make yourself a schedule for this class. Students have told me that that is the #1 thing that they recommend for success in the online environment, is staying on a schedule. Now, just because we're meeting online doesn't mean that we have different rules. We still follow the same policies and procedures in accordance with our college catalog. So this addresses things like behavior and policies to ensure that we're all learning equitably and fairly. So there is an academic conduct policy at Palomar College, and here's the link directly to that. But this is really not really a way, I don't like to talk about it as a form of punishment, but rather as a way to ensure that we're all getting the best opportunity, to ensure that you get all the resources fairly, that student A and student B get the same resources to ensure their success in this academic environment. So examples where this could be a situation or potentially are when we're taking our exams. You're not really going to have the opportunity to look over at somebody's paper, but in the online environment, this would equate to no discussion of quizzes and exams with anybody, but especially with another student. It's important that we cite sources when we utilize other people's ideas. And you do have one assignment in the class where you're writing a short paper. And so citations are very important there. I'll tell you this now, as well as when we do that activity, that the library research assignment, most of those 15 points are tied up to following the right instructions for citations and the bibliography. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to make my screen move. Now, if you're a student that has an accommodation through the Disabled Student Programs and Services Office, please get them to send me the necessary information so that I can make sure that we get you the appropriate accommodations. If you don't know how you fit into this, perhaps you're somebody who is experiencing anxiety related to online exams and quizzes. I mean, I think that's completely normal, given this change in our environment and procedures. But we don't want, it's not fair that that be something that impact your abilities to succeed in the class. So that's just an example that I'm using. So the disabled student program is able to counsel you and work with you and figure out if you have a type of disability that qualifies you for accommodations. So it doesn't mean that you have to have this pre-existing diagnosis, if you will, of being a student that's registered through that program at another institution. The folks at Palomar can help you with it. I had that happen when I was in college. I broke my arm, and it was the hand that I wrote with. And I had a cast, and this was before the days of, yeah, I mean, we had computers, but I didn't have one. There was no such thing as the internet back in the early 1990s. I'm old. But anyway, I had to get time and a half on my exams because I couldn't write fast with my left hand, and I had a cast completely that prevented me from using my dominant hand. So I just want you to know that that there are services available, and that this just means that it's providing a fair environment for everybody involved. Okay. The Disabled Student Program and Services Office does not tell instructors any information about what the medical or psychological issue is. We don't get told what the diagnosis is. All we're told is that student A has an accommodation that, for example, requires 2 times the amount of time on an exam. But I need to know that so I can set the exam up to accommodate that if you're in that situation. Okay, moving on. So here's our prerequisite, co-requisite information. I'm not going to spend any time going over that now. Please read through the course objectives and the student learning objectives that are below. These are to be achieved at the end of the semester. Please don't read this and go, oh my gosh, how am I supposed to know all the organs? Because you're not supposed to know that now, but at the end of the semester, you should. So we've got our student learning outcomes as well. This first one, the first SLO, if you will, SLO, that's what they're called. I will be assessing that through one of your activities. And this is that short writing assignment I was just referring to a moment ago through the library research assignment. So it doesn't mean you do anything different. It just means that in addition to me grading your work, I will use it to compare performance in my class this semester versus other semesters, things like that. Okay, so our required textbook is the Silverthorne Human Physiology book. I utilize the 8th edition of the textbook. So that's where most of my slides come from in my presentations, but you're welcome to utilize other editions. Often that's a way to get a less expensive textbook. So you could get the 7th edition or even the 6th edition. Honestly, it hasn't changed much. And then there's another version of the textbook called the Global Edition. That's also another option that's often cheaper. The main difference with the Global Edition versus the integrated approach is the clinical examples are a little bit different in the Global Edition because the different medical conditions are different in different parts of the world. Especially in like developing countries, there's more infectious disease. So you've got a number of options on the textbook. I don't care if it's hard copy, loose leaf, rented, purchased. That online version is an option. So the Mastering A&P package is nice because it gives you tools that you wouldn't have access to anywhere else. For example, it's got practice questions and exams and active ways to kind of figure out where you need to spend your time studying. So it's nice, but it's absolutely not a requirement. There's nothing I assign out of here that I will not demonstrate to you myself. So I will use some of the PhysioX experiments, which are virtual labs, but they're recorded and available that way. I would recommend this as the version of the textbook that you do get because you get a lot of resources. And it also gives you access to purchase a loose leaf print copy of the textbook. I think it's about $25. So it's much less expensive than purchasing a hardback book. There's a few other things that you'll need. You'll need Microsoft Office software. So Excel, Office, Excel and Word primarily. And you can get those available free as a student. So if you don't have them, you might want to get them. You'll need a scientific calculator. I suggest a binder, keep your information organized. Even if you're doing it virtually on your computer, set up a folder where you have things organized in a way that allows you to quickly access them during exam time, because you'll be able to use your materials. I don't encourage you to study that way, because you won't have time to complete everything if you rely on using your materials, but sometimes it's handy to have a file that has a written answer to a complicated lecture objective question already available. Now, some of the other resources that are available are listed here. This option number 6, I strongly recommend, and it's actually written by one of our colleagues, one of our faculty here, Dr. Leslie Blankenship Williams. She wrote this book because she recognized the need for it. At the time when she wrote it, she was trying to help students, advise students on how to prepare for entrance to nursing school and for the TEAS test that's needed for nursing school. And she and the students she worked with noticed and discussed the fact that most of the resources available were geared towards pre-medical students. And those are very different requirements, and in fact, are different types of courses. I mean, the biology, the intro biology that a pre-med student takes is different than a pre-nursing student takes. So what Dr. Leslie realized is there was an unmet need for a study resource for the nursing and allied health professional students. So she wrote this book to fill that need. And it's fantastic because it helps and focuses on anatomy, physio, as well as micro, all of which are required for nursing students, as well as most of the other pre-health professions, allied health professions. So it comes with an electronic version that gives you practice tests and all kinds of great resources. The last time I checked, which was about a year ago, it was available new at the Palomar bookstore for about $35. You can sometimes find it used on Amazon, but not often, since this is a book that is published by a college as opposed to a big publisher such as Pearson. Coloring books are good too, especially if you're a really visual person that likes to map out and draw like concept maps. And well, hey, you can do it of the anatomy and function of the body as well. So here's our important dates, and then let's get to the grading material. So I do our typical 10-point or 10% point scale. I round up, so an 89.5 becomes an A. So just that straight 10-point scale. All of your assignments will be posted on Canvas so that you have access to your grade at all times. And please, if anything looks wrong, let me know. I try my best not to, but sometimes I make mistakes, and I certainly wouldn't want that to be have a negative impact for you. So your grade is based on, oh, this is a typo right here I'm seeing. That should be 675. Anyway, here's the components of your grade. You have 4 exams, unit exams. So this is lecture and lab material together. They are 80 points, and the dates are listed on the schedule, which we'll get to next. So there's a number of different types of questions on here. So you'll have multiple choice, true, false, fill in the blank, drawing, short response, a number of different ways. But your window for exams is from midnight on Fridays until 11:59 p.m. on that Friday. So you have 24 hours to access the exam, but once you start, you will be timed at 1 hour, 30 minutes, 90 minutes. There's no way to pause the timer on Canvas for a quiz or exam. So please be ready to go when you start it. Now, in the event that you work on Fridays, and that's a regular thing, let me know so that we can figure out what to do on well, you do have 4 Fridays where you have a quiz and then 4 Fridays where there's an exam. So we would need to make arrangement for those dates. I'm actually quite flexible. I just need you to communicate. You may reschedule either one quiz or exam at some point through the semester, just for whatever reason. I'm happy to do that. I know that things come up. You have 4 unit quizzes. The type of questions on your quizzes and exams are very similar. In fact, they come from the same giant test bank that I create. I typically write all my own questions, or try to. And then the quizzes and exams randomly pull from those banks. So what that means is that your quizzes are a good predictor of what to expect on your exams, because it's the same type of questions. What it also means is that no 2 students get the same quiz or exam, because it pulls from, each question pulls from big giant banks. Okay. So for your quizzes, so these are the week ahead of your exams, you will have the same window from midnight until basically midnight on a Friday to do your quiz. So you've got your 24-hour window, but you've only got 1 hour to complete your quiz. Now, sometimes I'll suggest for you to email me part of your answer. If part of your answer is easier to draw, or I request you to draw something, I don't ever expect you to be hindered by computer technology or not knowing how to draw on the computer. I'm terrible drawing, period. But I would be very limited and stressed out doing that on the computer, especially if I'm timed. So you're always welcome to draw on paper and take a picture of it and email it to me. Yeah, that's fine to do. You've got your 10 homework assignments that are 10 points each. And most modules have an assignment, but some, for example, your first homework assignment is on module 2. So you didn't have one for the module 1. So they're due Friday at 11:59 p.m. The top 10 discussion board posts will be counted towards your grade at 2 points each. You will have more than 10. So it's not possible to make these up, but you'll be able to drop the lowest one at the end of the semester. These are opportunities for you to interact with your peers and with me. So these are really important opportunities, these discussion board posts, because you actually get to interact with your fellow classmates. So sometimes I'll give you a specific assignment where I ask you to discuss a certain point, but other times I ask you to ask your peers a content, well-written question, or invite your peers to answer your question. So you'll get specific instructions for each post, but this is all to be original work. I ask that you please write and complete sentences. And we don't want any silly answers like great job or I agree. It needs to be content driven. Now, the very first discussion board post, the intro one, is not included in this group of 10 posts, but you do need to do it. We have the equivalent of 14 lab exercises that are 10 points each. Now, some weeks you have 2 exercises. So I came up with a number 14 based on the number of weeks in which you have a lab assignment. So for example, in week 7, you have 2 labs. So that means completion of each is worth 5 points instead of the 10. So each week you'll have your lab exercises posted in your weekly module on campus, and it will include a link to submit your work. And I'm pretty flexible again on the format in which you want to submit it. So you'll be submitting your labs. They will be due the Monday after the week in which they're assigned. So actually all of your assignments are due on Fridays at 11:59 p.m. with the exception of your lab exercises, which are due on Mondays at 11:59. That just gives you a little bit more time to work on the lab should you need it. So lab exercises are graded based on completion. So make an effort to get it done. And then your final aspect of your grade is the library research assignment, which is a short paper. I give you very specific instructions. I'll give you a grading rubric, but this is an assignment that is used to help assess the effectiveness of the course, but it's also a fun assignment. You'll get to pick the topic in which you write your paper on, and it's only 2 pages. It's short. And most of the points are based upon correct formatting. So you'll be utilizing the APA format for this assignment. And I'll give you plenty of resources and examples that you can utilize. Just be sure to follow those instructions. So some tips for success from previous students that are in your shoes, including those that have been that are in the online environment, basically to stay on top of your schedule and to reach out. Some of my best students are those that come to office hours and email me, 5 times a week with important questions. So it's not a bother. That's what I'm here for. So please feel free to reach out and try to carve yourself a schedule. So I've put a couple important links here to the various support programs and services available at the college. And then of course, within Canvas, you can get help for Canvas by going on the Help Hub that's there. Okay, all right, well, hopefully that does help. Let's go over the last file, which is going to be your weekly schedule. So the pink, bold pink here represent the exams. So those define your 4 units. So the material in between is, so all of this is unit 1. Then we've got unit 2, unit 3, and unit 4. Let me make this a little bit bigger. I'm not sure how it shows on your screen, if it shows up maximized or not, but here we have it. So for example, our week 1, which we just reviewed, that week 1 module, is the introductory material. You're reading pages 1 through 24 of your textbook. You do have a discussion board post, and this is a requirement to be in the class. There is an entrance quiz, which is a requirement to remain enrolled in this class. Students who do not complete these assignments will be dropped off the roster so that a waitlist student can be added. And then your your lab assignment is on math calculations and conversions. It is due on Monday of the following week. So everything else has a Friday due date except labs. So the content of our unit 1 is going to be chapters 1, 2, 3, 5, 4, and 6 in that order. When I write your exams, I put the questions in order by the chapters as we approach them. So you'll have a group of questions for chapter 1, then a group for chapter 2, then a group for chapter 3, and so forth. I honestly try my best not to be a tricky professor. It's already enough. Life is already challenging enough. So just to give you a little bit of insight as to what to expect on your exams. So you've got your pages. The dates over here are the Monday of the week. So the due dates are the Friday of the week. So that would be later in the week, right? A different day there. Our first exam is going to be available at 12 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. on Friday, March 12th. You will be able to select any time in that 24-hour window where you log in, but once you start, the timer for 90 minutes begins. It is on chapters 1, 2, 3, 5, 4, and 6, as well as these lab topics. So quizzes and exams are on both lecture and lab content. Now, I've tried my best throughout the semester to assign minimal work on your exam weeks. So you'll notice there's no new lecture content on any of your exam dates, with the exception of the last exam, exam 4. And that's just because we don't have an exam week at Palomar College. So you will have chapters 7 and 23 released on the Friday before, and then a week later is the exam. The only exam where there's a lab associated with that week is the first one. So for the most part, you've got these weeks where you have time to get caught up on material and to do some studying, perhaps complete those learning objectives. So I'm hoping that that's an effective way to manage the time. My students last semester did really enjoy having those exam weeks that had minimal new content in them. Now, of course, we're out for spring break, so there's no classes there. So these assignments, like the lab associated with week 8, labs 10 and 11, they've got the due date of the, later because of the spring break holiday. Okay, now weeks 11 and 12, so for your unit 3, it only includes chapters 16 and 24, and then all 3 of your hematology labs. So it may seem like, oh, well, that's not that many chapters compared to, say, unit 1. These are long chapters, especially chapter 24. I mean, really, that could be divided into 2 or 3 chapters of its own. So I tried to make this block shorter because it is a longer, larger content-driven chapter. So that's why it might seem a little weird to you. All right, I think that really covers most everything I wanted to go through. Of course, if you have a question at any time, feel free to email me and I'll get back to you as quickly as I can. If you, for any reason you just want to chat about this course, or if you have any questions about academic advising or anything like that, I'm happy to help out. I've served on the admissions committees for several nursing schools, for several medical schools, and then also chaired a graduate program. So I was at the University of Arizona College of Medicine for a number of years, where I did a lot of that. So I'm also happy to help you with just general questions, or help with kind of figuring out where to go, or, hey, does my personal statement look good when you get to that point of your career, things like that. All right, well, take care, everybody. I look forward to getting to know you. Bye-bye.